When I was a treatment foster parent for troubled teens, many of the youth that came to my home did not have good academic skills. They also had social problems at school, and so we often had to talk about school. I'm Nicholeen Peck. I'm a parenting and relationship expert, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to talk to your kids about school. Of course, it's best to talk to your children about school and their academics and social and everything from the very beginning, from the time they're really young. But not everybody thinks of it when children are young and not having any academic or social problems. And so then it happens later that we end up talking to our children about things related to their school life. Well, when I was a foster parent for these treatment children, they were all between the ages of 12 and 18, and I had to develop the habit of talking to them about school, and they had to learn the habit too. In this video, we're going to be talking about roles and how our roles in the family impact the relationship so that we can have better communication. We're going to talk about some different skills for communication and what some of the elements are that we've got to make sure we don't forget to discuss about school, and some other things too. First, we have to understand our roles. Do you know that talking to your children about anything, whether it's friends or school or things that are important to them, actually hinge on who they see themselves as in comparison to you, and on who you see yourself as in comparison to them? So the way that we see ourselves in the relationship, this is called the roles. It's a key piece of our identities. So if the children see your role or identity as the person who communicates with them about important things, then they're going to be more likely to open up. But if they just see your role as the person who gives them stuff like money and takes them where they want to go, then they're going to see you more as a chauffeur or facilitator, not as a person who is a confidant, someone who they should be talking to about some of their problems. So we need to make sure that we clearly define our roles. Years ago, when I started teaching people about parenting things, I assumed everybody understood the concept of roles as it related to family relationships. But after I wrote my best-selling book, Parenting a House United, I realized that people did not understand roles as well as I had thought they did when I wrote the book. Because people kept asking me questions like, well, what if they won't listen to you? Well, what if they don't open up to you? What if they don't care? And I would say, well, that's actually a roles issue. I mean, they would care, or they would open up to you, or they would listen to you because they understood your roles. So then I had to write another book called Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. This book became a bestseller the first day it came out, because people realized after me answering questions and telling them that it was a roles issue for so many years that they definitely needed to understand roles better. So you might want to check into that. But the whole idea with roles that I want you to understand today, just a little sneak peek, is just the importance of it. It's important that we know who we are. Think of how everyone is desperately trying to determine and to define who they are these days. Well, our roles are a little bit more self-evident than we might realize. If I have children, then I am a parent, right? If I gave birth to those children, then I'm a mother. So it's pretty self-evident. And that means that I'm supposed to nurture them. They started out nurturing in my body. I need to nurture them all the way along. Their heart was connected to my heart. Their heart's going to stay connected to my heart for quite some time. A mother is the heart and hearthstone of her family. So we could go through each of the roles in the family at different ages and determine what their role is with each other. We're not going to take that time right now. We can do that at some other time in another video, or you can look in the book. But just know that them knowing who you are is going to make it so that you can have these important conversations about school and other things. We need to have deliberate talk times with our children in order for them to feel like a conversation about what's going on at school, especially problems that might be having at school, is okay. So in our family, we have a deliberate talk time that happens every single week. We call these parent mentor sessions or mentor meetings with the children. They happen with the parents and the child, and we talk about everything related to school, peers, family relationships, personal goals that they might have, all these kinds of things. And we pre-teach what type of behaviors they may need to have with their friends at school, what types of things are expected of them. But it's not like a lecture, it's not like a lay down the law, it's like an open communication where we say, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And then we help them set up the skills that they need to accomplish those things. So what skills might a person need to succeed at school? Well, they're going to need the 4 basic skills. We teach 4 basic skills in the Teaching Self-Government Parenting course. Those are following instructions, accepting no answers, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. If a person learns all 4 of these skills, they'll follow instructions, keep the boundaries at the school, accept the grades they get, and learn how to communicate well with teachers and friends. Did you catch that? Following instructions, accepting no answers, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. Help them take care of all the issues that they might be dealing with at school and home as well. So once we've made our plan, then we have to make sure that we follow up on the plan and see how we're doing. So I have what are called daily checkups with my children. So this means that each day we talk about how they did at accomplishing their goals. So once a week we have the mentor sessions with the children, and then each day we say, okay, this is what's happening today, or what is on your goals for today, and they launch forward and do those goals. And then we talk about how they did. Now this works whether you're homeschooling or whether your children go to school. So I started doing this with my foster children who all attended public school, but my own children were all homeschooled, and we did the same thing. We would do group learning time together in the morning, and then I would say to them, okay, so now it's your independent study time. What academic goals are you going to be working on during that time? And afterward, they would get back to me and they would say, this is what I did during that time. That way I could give them praise. They could also see by reporting that they actually had accomplished some pretty great things. Being able to see cause and effect, that you're making progress in your school goals, is really motivating. As well as the open communication part that's so vital, and establishing a habit of that. It's important that you ask them meaningful questions. So don't just say, so what happened, and make it so that they have to come up with everything that you might want to hear. They don't know how to do that. So you know what they usually do? They just shut down. They're like, oh, it was fine. It was a good day. Yeah, it was okay. They just don't know what to say. So ask meaningful questions. Ask good things like, so today when you saw so-and-so, remember you had a goal that you were going to reach out to this person, this friend, a little bit more. When you saw them, did you remember to reach out? Or how did it go when you reached out to that friend today? Did they respond okay? Right? Or, hey, you had this goal to get all of your stuff turned in early this week so that we can go out of town tomorrow. Were you able to get all of your things turned in early? You know, don't ask vague things, ask specific things. If you ask specific things, they can give you more information. Another thing you're going to want to do is be real. You know, don't be so like high stress or demanding. A lot of parents allow the expectations that the school has to make them feel stressed about their child's performance, or how they're measuring up, or if they have the right friends or not the right friends. The most important thing you can do is be chilled out about the conversations that you have, and make sure that no matter what you hear, you decide that you're going to be able to be calm and okay about it and help your child work through whatever things you might think they need to learn or problems they need to solve after they report to you. So be real, be okay, be calm. It's really important when you're talking to your children about school or anything that you don't judge, that you don't take things personally, and that you just really listen. Keep an open ear. They need to see that you truly care. And talk about things that aren't just academic. That's important too. Talk about their friends, talk about their worries and concerns, talk about maybe their emotional state, and talk about academics. This is the time in their lives when they're in school where they get to try to balance all the pieces of their lives together to prepare them for adulthood. And there are a lot of things that they encounter when they're at school, and those things should be important to parents. Schools have a lot to do with social. Now, you could argue whether it's for the good or whether it's for the bad. I don't know if bullying is super great social, but it's there. I also know that social development is key for a happy life. Now, whether you homeschool or whether you send your children to school, you really need to be thinking how they should be socially developing. In fact, I have other videos on this channel about helping train your children socially, and you might want to check those out because those are going to be able to give you more information on some of the social skills training that you'll need to do for your children so that you can check up on how they're doing and you can notice some improvement that they're having. Two things you might want to ask your children are ask if they're okay with you giving suggestions for things. So once they've opened up to you and have talked to you about what's going on, some of their problems, and you've decided to just be calm and carry on, as the British say, no matter what they say, then you're going to want to say, are you okay if I give you suggestions for how to solve this problem? Because I think there's probably something we could decide that could make it easier for you. So ask them if they're all right with that. Now, maybe they'll say, no, I'm not okay. That lets you know where your relationship is, and then you'll probably have to discuss what you need to do in your relationship to help both of you feel like it's okay to give suggestions, because that goes back to your roles. And you as a parent really do have the role to give suggestions to the child and to give instruction to the child. Remember those 4 basic skills that we teach, and the first one is following instructions. So the next thing you need to do is be sure to ask the child if there's anything that you can help them with. So is there anything I can do for you? When you talk to somebody about school or about social, they feel like they're getting grilled. They don't realize that you're using this conversation as a way to help them more. They think you're just checking on them, seeing if they're doing what you want them to do. That's really how they're processing it in their mind. So if you ask them, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you be more successful with this or with this? Now, if you say, what can I help you with so that you can maybe do better at your basketball team tryouts? They say, well, I need to go somewhere I need to go to the park more, or I need to go over to the church and practice in the gym or something like that so that I can get better at my shots. Then since you asked the question, I hope that you are totally willing to actually do what is required. That is a big part of getting them to open up to us. If we want to have good conversations with our children about their goals, then we've got to make sure that they see us as an active part of their life, not just somebody who's watching and then telling them what to do next. If you've liked our discussion about talking to your children about school, I think you're going to love the next video, which is how to get an angry child to calm down. Go ahead and click here.